Let us begin today's session. Back and neck straight. Gently close the eyes. Sit in any comfortable position, keeping the back neck straight and eyes are closed gently. Start observing the breath. Watching the natural flow of the breathing as we inhale and as we exhale. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. The body is stable and comfortable, and the mind is a little bit concentrated right now. Slow, long, and deep inhalation. Slow, long, and deep exhalation. And when you feel ready, begin to add a little bit retention. So after inhalation, holding the breath for about 2 seconds and then exhaling. We'll chant Om one time, followed by the Shanti mantra. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramantu. सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibration. The palms together and rub both the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms. Open up the eyes, start coming back. Come back with a big smile. And namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's session. So we are going to discuss, today is the last class of yoga philosophy for this month. Today we are going to finish the course by discussing the obstacles right on the path of yoga. Obstacles on the path of yoga. Right. So, whenever you start doing something in life, in general, you see that when you start doing that thing, you face certain issues, certain obstacles. And if somebody has already warned you, that if you, maybe do this thing will, hamper you, right? So when you are mentally prepared, right, you know that there is something which is, going to hamper you on your path, then when you become aware of this thing, it becomes easier for you to recognize it and tackle it accordingly, right? So now if suppose, I have to go for to work from one place to the other, and already I have been told that the road that you are going to take, it's going to have a lot of traffic, right? So if I already know that the road is going to have a lot of traffic, it bothers me a little less. I'm not saying that I won't get frustrated or irritated, because getting stuck in traffic, who likes it? But at least somebody told me, like we checked the Google Maps. So the Google Maps, the best thing about Google Maps is not that it just tells us the way, but it also tells us, where there is a congestion in the road, and is there traffic or not, right? So it will give you a good estimate. So similarly, when you are walking on the path of you are at one point and you are trying to reach some other point, and on your way you are going to face certain hindrances. But if you become aware of what the obstacles are, you will at least be able to be in a place where whenever that thing happens, you recognize it. And because you are able to recognize it, you are actually able to become aware. And once the awareness comes in, you are able to at least understand that this is the tendency, that this is going to happen, so you have to work beyond it, right? So at that moment, when you feel like giving up, when you suddenly become aware that this is bound to happen when I am walking on the path of you, maybe, now your mind will settle down a little bit and you won't feel like, altogether giving up your practice, right? Like a very common example of this, I'll give you an asana, right? So when you are opening your split, right? So till a particular day, you will be progressing. And then after a while, you will see that the progress is not as much as it was in the earlier days. And some days you will see that when you practice, you're not even able to go at the level that you were able to do. That is because the muscles need some relaxation, and sometimes, when we are not able to give them that relaxation, we're not able to, go till the limit you were able to go previously. So now you're studying yoga so deeply, right? So you know that this thing happens and that you need to give your body rest. So you don't have to give up. But someone who doesn't know might end up giving up their practice at that point of time. And that is the exact point of the obstacle. It wants you to leave the path, right? It doesn't want you to follow the path of you to the path, right? And if every 10 minutes leads to the other, so, say I walk for 10 minutes, then I come back. Then I again walk for 10 minutes, then I come back. So I am not covering any more distance, but right, so something like that happens when you go back or you might want to give up your practice altogether. So proper recognition of these obstacles is very important. So Patanjali ji, he talked about these obstacles in the Yoga Sutras in the first chapter itself, where, he stated 9 obstacles. Total 9 obstacles have been stated by him. And he has given, like, he has actually said that be aware, right? So first one, into what the obstacles are. The first one is Vyadhi or disease. So the first obstacle, he said, when you are walking on the path of yoga, this thing might come up. Now he is mostly referring over here to the physical disease, right? So if you are not physically well, will you ever be able to sit in meditation? No. When we are ill, our entire energy, the energy of the body and the mind is completely focused on the illness that the body is facing, right? And there is no time to focus on spirituality or anything else at that point of time. You are ill and you want to get better. So all of your attention, all of your awareness is directed towards that thing where you want to, put the entire energy towards recovering, right? So when a person, gets ill or faces some illness, right? That is when, this becomes an obstacle and they stop meditating. They stop, leave meditation, they stop every other thing, right? They are completely focused on resting at that point of time and allowing the body to heal, which is correct. But you will see that when you especially sit for meditation, these things, you will see that they maybe start to come up more, or you feel this more, or you get very, the term paranoid, right? So sometimes, people get very paranoid about certain things. So, the disease, one thing is, when you have disease, you will not be able to do yoga sadhana, right? Another thing is, when you are doing these practices, so let me take a very common example of asana, right? So when we are doing asana, now we know it is a very spiritual practice, and that the intention of the asana is totally different from any other physical exercise. But we go into the class, we see other students practicing, and sometimes students have been practicing for years and their flexibility is wonderful. And you are standing there on the mat, right? And you watch them do certain things, maybe handstand, headstand, and you also want to do them. So you force yourself at that point of time. You cross the boundary of the body and you force yourself, which leads to a physical injury, right? So at this point of time, you have somewhere hurt the body, made the body unwell, overstretched yourself, and hence when you get an injury, you will see that for 1 or 2 weeks, you will have to take rest at least till that muscle, is back to normal, right? So recovery has taken place completely. So at this point of time, you have let the because of your tendency to do more and more, you have hurt your body, and when you hurt your body, then next day you do not practice. Maybe you won't take 1 or 2 weeks, but next 2-3 days you will not practice. So again, your whole practice is getting impacted if you cross your limit, right? So if there is anything that shows up on a physical level, right, then it will not allow you to walk on the path of yoga. It will not allow you to go ahead and practice certain things, right? So as per Patanjali ji, he said that the source of each and every physical disease that shows up, right, is actually an impurity that is rooted in the mind, right? So this thing. Nowadays even science is getting to these conclusions. They're trying to prove this thing, right? Where if psychosomatic diseases, especially, we'll see there is some problem on a mental level, and it shows up on the disease, right? And you would have also heard of placebo pills, right? So it's not actually the
Sound is breaking.
do meditation and yeah, so I was talking about physical illness, right? So as per Patanjali ji also, the source of any illness, physical illness, it is actually because there is some impurity in the chitta, right? So let's move to the second obstacle, right? Dhyan. Uh, and all of
Can't hear.
Really sorry. Yeah. So I was saying that when you are physically fit and all your needs are being fulfilled, that is when you will see that people who generally have any kind of mental disorder, they face that mental disorder when everything is being fulfilled. Most people in city, you will see they are either depressed or anxious, and this is only happening because they have everything they need, and now they are unable to channel the mind in the correct direction. So it ends up, or there is no training of the mind that takes place. So when this happens, the mind goes in a completely negative direction, and the process of mental disease, it starts taking place. They are facing a lot of difficulty, and they are connect very much with it, and all the thoughts that used to haunt them, they come back. Their mental health work on very hard to do for a person who is either anxious or depressed, right? Because depressed person doesn't feel like getting out, right? And necessary, work, know, on establishing the process of meditation. So spiritually, you will progress very quickly when you do this thing, right? Then the
Sorry, we didn't hear.
can you guys hear
It was breaking.
me? Oh, wait, let me change the connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, I was talking about how you need to establish the mental health first before you go into a very deep spiritual practice, right? Because when you are going into a deep spiritual practice, your main goal is to advance spiritually, right? So if there is a disease in the mind, right, like you are anxious or depressed, or there are a lot of other diseases as well. So when this thing happens, you will see that the person is not able to progress spiritually, right? They are unable to make spiritual progress. So it's very important to establish the mental health first, and then go ahead and go on the path of the spiritual journey. So next one that we have in the obstacles, Sanshay. Sanshay or doubt, SAM. Shay. If my voice breaks, please let me know.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So next one is Sanshay. Right. So Sanshay or doubt. So doubt we have already discussed, when we were discussing abhyas or practice, we had already discussed that, if you do not believe in a particular thing, you will not be able to progress much in it, or you won't be able to make very good progress in that thing. So when you doubt yourself, right? When you doubt yourself, when you doubt your practice, when you doubt the person who is teaching you, right? Doubt on any level. These three are the most common, but doubt on any level is going to, hinder your journey. It's going to hinder your path. Why? Because, if you do not believe in it, you will not be able to progress in it. And this happens when you are doing, especially meditation, right? So you start doubting the teacher, right? You start doubting the thing that the teacher is saying, even though, you are practicing it and those things are happening, but the teacher, again and again directs you in one direction and you are unable to, connect with that. So you start doubting it, right? For asana pranayama, it's a little bit easier to observe the impact, but when it comes to meditation, it's a very subtle process. Hence, doubt creeps in very, very soon, right? uh, when you especially go for this practice, right? So you start doubting the practice also. You start doubting that why are we, sitting for such a long period of time. It is doing me no good. I know that moving the body is going to, relieve my mind and it's going to keep me fit. But why this meditation? So you start doubting also, and because you observe more thoughts, like you get a glimpse of more of your mind during meditation, you first thing that comes up very strongly during meditation is the doubt. You doubt before even practicing, before even giving it enough time. There are so many doubts that come up in the mind, right? Like at the end of each meditation class, I'm sure all of you would have some or the other doubts, right? So these doubts, these doubts when they come up, so sometimes you will see that with your practice, some of the doubts you'll answer on your own, right? And that is the exact point, right? Answering your doubts on your own, right? You will find the answers when you practice that thing again and again. There is a reason why certain things have been written, and our mind, our body isn't prepared enough to comprehend that answer, right? So when you prepare the body and mind enough to comprehend the answer to those things, then you will be able to, progress on your path. And as soon as doubt comes in, right, you will see your journey is going to decline considerably, or your journey is going to stop altogether, right? So third obstacle, be aware of it. The mind plays its own tricks. So doubt is another very big obstacle. Whenever you start doubting, you should actually, catch yourself over there, right? Immediately become aware and, bring yourself back to your practice. As soon as you go deeper into your practice, you will understand why certain things are being said, right? So next thing that we have is alasya. Alasya. Alasya or laziness. So this is, see, at that time also, Patanjali ji knew that we have the tendency to get very lazy. Just the level has changed from generation to generation, but it is the human tendency to, become lazy and, not wanting to do certain practices or certain things, right? Like you wake up in the morning and the alarm is on snooze, right? And you put that alarm on snooze because you are feeling very lazy, you don't feel like getting up and out of bed. Then, same goes for the practice. You don't want to show up on the mat because you feel very lazy. There is nothing else, right? It's just laziness. Maybe, you give yourself reasons that today it's okay, today it's cheat day. So 1 or 2 days it's okay. But then when you make a constant habit out of it again and again, you let the laziness come in the path of your own sadhana. Nobody else is stopping you, right? Nothing else is stopping you to progress. Everything is encouraging you. But your laziness, when you have that, oh, I will have to show up again, that sense of laziness when it kicks in, that is when, it's going to stop you. And this is going to stop you more than the, because these days, life is very convenient and you get everything when you like it, as you like it, right? uh, and it has induced much more laziness within us, right? So as you see, our lifestyle, the modern lifestyle, there is no like you know I would say we have everything that anybody could have ever dreamed of in today's world, but still we are struggling the most, right? And it is because of these attitudes, the attitude of laziness, which makes us struggle more and more. If you get up, go do whatever you are supposed to do, it is your duty to do, then you will see the mind doesn't have a lot of, scope to run around here and there, or, struggle that much. You're just simply doing whatever you are meant to do, right? And this is how, in today's world, this is a very big obstacle on our path. Because of so much convenience, we can afford to be lazy, right? We don't have to go and survive, right? Earlier human beings, they needed to survive, so they had to, constantly be aware, and every day they had to go look for food. But we don't need all of these things for survival. So laziness is a very beautiful comfort zone for us, right? So we need to get out of it. And each and every time, you sit for your yoga sadhana, or you go show up on your mat, right? This laziness, it's going to stop you from keeping your foot on the mat, right? And as soon as you start feeling lazy, recognize that, okay, this is an obstacle, right? This is a state of the mind and it's not permanent. So let me go on the mat and see for how long it lasts. Because you would have seen that some days you feel very lazy, but somehow, you convince yourself to show up on the mat. And after you do 1 or 2 rounds of Surya Namaskar, or, just 1 or 2 breathing exercises, you see that you are completely like, all right. Now the laziness is nowhere to be seen. So it's just about, if the laziness would have been permanent, then it would have stayed even after you would have practiced. But it immediately goes away if you convince yourself to show up on the mat. So next time this happens, just become aware that this is happening and push past it, right? You have to, work through these obstacles, right? So start with a minimum numbers, especially when it comes to, laziness. This is a very good thing to do. So, you can, that maybe your schedule doesn't allow you to, practice something for a very long period of time. Suppose you're not even able to give half an hour to yoga, right? After you finish the course. So, you can at least do, 15 minutes. So 15 minutes, no matter what, that you can do daily, right? So there is nothing stopping you from achieving those 15 or 10 minutes, right? So go to the minimum number first, right? So minimum number of rounds, minimum number of time, that minimum amount of time that you can give to that practice. If you are struggling with laziness, something not for everyone, but if you are struggling with laziness, then pick a minimum number that you can achieve every day, and do it consistently. So minimum number is easy to achieve, right? So do that minimum, that a minimum number of times every day, and after a while you will see that, it is automated, right? So each and every action that you do, it, after a while, if you do it constantly, it becomes automated. So once it becomes automated, then you can work on increasing the number of rounds or increasing the amount of your practice. But before that, when you know you are struggling with something, it is better to go for the minimum number and make it, uh, do it up till a point that it becomes automatic for you, right? So next obstacle that is, on your way, uh, pramad, Pramad, pramad or negligence, right? So now physically everything well, mentally also very healthy. You were able to fight the laziness. You were able to, establish your belief, right? So four obstacles you are past, but then the fifth one comes in, right? To, and you see they are going on a higher level, right? So as you progress, you will see that the deeper you go, we think that the person who has been practicing from years, they will be able to do it. There is this image in the mind that that person has been practicing from years. But no, even that person faces obstacles of their level, right? It would be different for us. It is very easy, like, if somebody would just push us, we will go away, right? For some people, you have to, constantly, they are very stubborn, so you have to keep, troubling them, and then after a while they go away. So for them, the obstacle will also be bigger, right? For us, we don't need that big an obstacle. We are still beginners. We will go away in a little thing as well, right? So next thing that we have is negligence. So now you have become very consistent in your practice, but this tendency of the mind starts showing up where you become a little bit negligent, right? So, like, we have this tendency to neglect things, right? In spite of being aware that, we are going to, have certain consequences, right? So this question comes up a lot of times that, ma'am, we know that this is the right thing to do, or ma'am, we know that, we should meditate every day for these many hours. We know this thing, but we are unable to do it. So this obstacle, which is very common for us, right? Most of us know, especially when you come on the path of yoga, you know that certain things are good for you, right? So, but still you are being very negligent towards them and not making time for them. So this is your negligence, right? Where right? And if you do not practice them, what is going to happen, right? You also know what is going to happen if you do not practice them. But still, it is the tendency of the mind to convince you not to practice, to become negligent towards whatever is being taught to you, and to not apply those things because it is more convenient, right? So things like procrastination, right? Where you just keep sitting, right? And thinking that you are going to, again and again, you keep going in that mental loop, right? And you do not do the thing that you are supposed to do. So all of these things, prevent you from progressing on your path, right? If we would just be a little less like negligent, we will be able to, lead the life that we so often dream of. It's just due to our own negligence that we cannot achieve the things we want to achieve. Nothing else stands in your way. It's just our, the pattern of the mind, the training that we have given to the mind. If you begin to train the mind differently, the mind is going to, become the greatest tool. But if you train the mind otherwise, it's going to become your biggest enemy, right? So coming out of this negligent pattern is so important. And this negligence is another obstacle on your path of yoga, right? So 5 we have done, 4 more. So next one. So as you go deeper into your practice, you start experiencing this sense of attachment to the sense objects, right? So Avirati. Aviarati. Or even you can say Avirati. Avirati. Both are fine. So Avirati, high attachment. So now you are full on point in your practice, right? And you are doing everything that you can to, go deeper into your practice. That is when you start seeing, that is when the meditator, starts seeing, or the yoga sadhak starts seeing how much attachment is there to the thing. Now, you will see how you are attached to your sense objects, and each and every time, your sense object is going to come up, and it is going to distract you, and it is going to, if you are at a very low willpower, right, at that point, then you will end up doing it, right? So suppose you are sitting for a very deep meditation course, right, and over there only sattvic food is there, no junk, no nothing, and most of your life, it has been spent eating junk, right? So first thing, that will, and it will become very very intense also, right? So I'm sharing out of personal experience, right? So I grew up in a city, and everything is available over there, right? And when I went for very deep meditation courses, I saw that, my mind, the schedule doesn't allow me to do anything else. There is no distraction, there is nothing, right? Everything is being checked. But, the mind, has this intense attachment to the, kind of food I got, like in city life. And when I went for meditation courses, and the food was very sattvic. So now the sense object, it had a grip on me. And for a very long period of time, during my meditation, it had a grip on me. Like, I want to eat this thing, right? There's so much craving that comes up in the mind because we are attached to the sense object, right? And it can show up in different ways for you guys, right? It depends on what you're like liking it, right? So the mind is very, clever that way. It's going to give you the craving of that sense object that it knows, you really deep down, you really want that thing. So, this craving attitude, this thing where the detachment is not coming. So it's going to, no matter how deep you go, it's going to, the sense objects, they are very appealing, right? They have the tendency to pull you completely back, right? So you will see that is why, people who, leave, like say, suppose eating junk food, right? And then one time they, get access to that. So they go in that loop again. It's so, the grip is so strong that you go into the loop very easily, right? And you make a loop out of it then, because it is your deep desire, right, to have that thing. So again and again you leave it, then you go into a deep cycle of acquiring that thing, and again reaction comes back, right? Then again you go deep into meditation, you work on, becoming neutral, again the sense object. So sense objects have very strong hold on all of us, right? Next one that we have, now as the meditation goes deep, Bhranti Darshan, BHRANTI, Bhranti Darshan, right? So next one is the false perception. I'll give you an example, in meditation, when you sit, some people, claim that they have seen a light. Some people claim that they have, heard very beautiful sounds. And when you sit for meditation, you want that thing, right? And because you have been told so much that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen to you, you're going to get this experience. The mind gets stuck on that experience, and it loses touch with the reality, right? So as soon as it loses touch with the reality, you have the illusion that you had that experience. right? So you will see a lot of people, when they talk that they saw light or they heard beautiful sounds when they were meditating. It is more likely that they didn't. Yeah, because constantly they were being fed that information that, when the breathing gets this way or when the posture gets in this way, then you start feeling this thing or that thing. And because it has been so constantly, the experience has been fed so like regularly into their system and their mind, even if they do not experience it, they will have this false notion that they have experienced, right? So this is obstacle for a very deep level sadhak, where they are, taught and told a lot of things, but the mind, tricks you, and immediately you start feeling good when you, have that particular, experience. And as soon as you start feeling good, again you are going back into the circle where you are reacting. So the whole point of meditation is observing. So this is a way of the, mind to pull you back into the reaction cycle, where it will give you what you are looking for, right? It's going to give you that false notion that this is what you were looking for and this, here I bring it, right? And you immediately stop, right? Then next one is right, alab bhumi katva. Alabd alabdh bhumi katva. ALABDHA BHUMIKATVA. Alapta bhumi katva. Right? Inability to attain the point of samadhi. Right? So when you go into very deep meditation, sometimes, you have been practicing for years and years, but you are unable to achieve the state of samadhi. Right? And this becomes an obstacle in the mind. Why? Because you are putting in so much work and for so many years, but you are unable to see, right, the thing that you want to achieve, right? And this happens due to multiple reasons. It's not necessary that you're just the fact that you are meditating, right? Then you should get this thing. Things are not as linear as they seem. So generally we are taught, if you put in more work, we are going to get more results, right? But it is not the case when you come to a lot of things and even life, right? So the meditator is putting in so much effort, showing up every day, keeping their devotion, everything is going very well, right? But they are still unable to achieve the point of samadhi. And at that point of time, they can become very discouraged because of this thing, right? So to, understand that sometimes, there are other things which stop you. It's not just your own effort that you're putting in. Like sometimes, your past karma or your past, accumulation of the merits and everything. Sometimes the past things influence our progress, right? And maybe because of some reason or the other, they are unable to attain the stage of samadhi, right? So it's very important to not get discouraged when you are not able to attain that stage of samadhi, even after years of practice, right? It takes years. But even after that, if you lose hope at this point of time, you will completely leave the path, right? You will see this thing, you will completely leave the path, because this is a very deep level obstacle, right? This wouldn't come for everyone, right? Like as beginners, this won't come for us. But for a very deep meditator, this thing is going to come up, right? So inability to attain samadhi, right? So this is again an obstacle. Keep working. At one point of time or the other, you are bound to reach the final goal. If you are putting in the work, you are bound to achieve it. Some things are just out of your control, right? So you have to keep the vision very focused on the practice and what you're trying to achieve. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. The last obstacle I'm discussing, because it is time for your therapy class, right? The last obstacle I'm discussing, and then I will take the doubts in your pranayam class, right? The last one is right. The next obstacle is one person is unable to attain the stage of samadhi. Second sadhak, they can attain the stage of samadhi, but due to some past karma, they are not able to, prolong that stage, right? So it's called an wait, Anavis Tattva. Sorry. Yeah. ANAVAS THITATTVA. Right? So because of some reason, past merit, they are unable to stay in the stage of samadhi for a long period of time. And at that point of time, this becomes a very big obstacle. Why? Because again, it can discourage you because you have been putting in so much hard work and effort, and you are still unable to, prolong that stage, right, of being in samadhi, right? So for each and every one of us, the karmas are very different, right? We all have to do our own settlement. We have to settle our own accounts, right? So we cannot compare. We cannot say that that person has been practicing for such a less time and they are, progressing so much. So because of some past karma, these like in meditation, meditators are unable to stay in that stage for a long period, are unable to stay in that stage for a long period of time, and that becomes an obstacle for them. Why? Because this is the point which will really discourage you. So you have to be very mentally strong and prepare yourself, right, when you are walking on the path of yoga, that these obstacles are bound to come, right? Maybe some might not come for you, some will, right? I'm not saying each and every one obstacle is going to come for you, but overall, these are the obstacles. And when you get aware of this thing, immediately put it in the category of an obstacle and know that you have to work past it, right? So this will not hamper your growth or your progress on the path of yoga, right? So it is already time for your therapy class. So just for now, absorb this information, right? And in pranayam class, feel free. At that point of time, we'll have more time to discuss, right? So keep all the doubts with you for now. And even assignment I will share in pranayam class, right? So let's end today's session. Yeah. So Shanti to everyone. And I will see you in pranayam class, where I'll give both assignments and take all the doubts.
Om
Right?
Shanti. Bye.
Shanti. Bye-bye.